Hare Krishna, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, title Creation, Chapter 4, The Appearance of Sri Narada. Text 1. Vyasa Vacha iti Bruvanam samstuya muninam dirgha satrinam vruddha kulapati sutam bhavarcha saunako bravit. Synonyms. Vyasaha, Vyasadeva, Vacha, said, iti, thus, Bruvana, speaking, Samstuya, congratulating, Muninam, of the great sages, Tirkha, prolonged, Satrinam, of those engaged in the performance of sacrifice, Vruddhaha, elderly, Kulapatihi, head of the assembly, Sutam, onto Suta Goswami, Bohurchaha, learned, Saunakaha, of the name Saunaka, Abravit, addressed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhichana Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. On hearing Suta Goswami speak thus, Saunaka Muni, who was the elderly, learned leader of all the rishis engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Suta Goswami by addressing him as follows. Purport. In a meeting of learned men, when there are congratulations or addresses for the speaker, the qualifications of the congratulator should be as follows. He must be the leader of the house and an elderly man. He must be vastly learned also. Sri Saunaka Rishi had all these qualifications, and thus he stood up to congratulate Sri Suta Goswami when he expressed his desire to present Srimad Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from Shukadeva Goswami and also realized it personally. Personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's own learning by trying to surpass the previous Acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous Acharya, and at the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it. Yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization. The leader of the assembly, Shaunaka, could estimate the value of the speaker, Sri Suta Goswami, simply by his uttering Yadhaditam and Yadhamati, and therefore he was very glad to congratulate him in ecstasy. No learned man should be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. So the speaker and the audience were bona fide in this meeting where Bhagavatam was being recited for the second time. That should be the standard of recitation of Bhagavatam, so that the real purpose can be served without difficulty. Unless this situation is created, Bhagavatam recitation for extraneous purposes is useless labor both for the speaker and for the audience. Text 2. Shaunaka Uvacha Suta Suta Mahabhaga Vadano Vadatam Vara Katham Bhagavatim Punyam Yat Aha Bhagavan Chukaha. Synonyms. Saunaka Uvacha said, Suta, O Suta Goswami, Mahabhaga, the most fortunate, Vada, please speak, Na, unto us, Vadatam, of those who can speak, Vara, respected, Katham, message, Bhagavatim, of the Bhagavatam, Punyam, pious, Yat, which, Aha, said, Bhagavan, greatly powerful, Sukaha, Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhichana Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Shaunaka said, O Suta Goswami, you are the most fortunate and respected of all those who can speak and recite. Please relate the pious message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by the great and powerful sage Sukadeva Goswami. Purport. Suta Goswami is twice addressed herein by Shaunaka Goswami out of great joy because he and the members of the assembly were eager to hear the text of Bhagavatam uttered by Shukadeva Goswami. They were not interested in hearing it from a bogus person who would interpret in his own way to suit his own purpose. Generally, the so-called Bhagavatam reciters are either professional readers or so-called learned impersonalists who cannot enter into the transcendental personal activities of the Supreme Person. Such impersonalists twist some meaning out of Bhagavatam to suit and support impersonalist views, and the professional readers at once go to the 10th canto to misexplain the most confidential part of the Lord's pastimes. Neither of these reciters are bona fide persons to recite Bhagavatam. Only one who is prepared to present Bhagavatam in the light of Shukadeva Goswami, and only those who are prepared to hear Shukadeva Goswami and his representative are bona fide participants in the transcendental discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 3. Kasmin yuge pravrutteyam sthane va kena hetuna kutah sanchoditah krishnah kritavan samhitam munihi. Synonyms. Kasmin, in which, yuge, period, pravrutta, was begun, yam, this, sthane, in the place, va, or kena, on what, hetuna, ground, kutaha, where from, sanchoditaha, inspired by, krishnaha, Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, krutavan, compiled, samhitam, Vedic literature, munihi, the learned. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. In what period and what place was this first begun, and why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? Purport. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is the special contribution of Srila Vyasadeva, there are so many inquiries by the learned Shaunaka Muni. It was known to them that Srila Vyasadeva had already explained the text of the Vedas in various ways up to the Mahabharata for the understanding of less intelligent women, Sudras, and fallen members of the family of twice-born men. Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all of them because it has nothing to do with anything mundane. So the inquiries are very intelligent and relevant. Text 4. Tasya putro mahayogi samadrin nivikalpakaha ekantamati unnidro gudho mudha iveyate. Synonyms. Tasya, his putraha, son, mahayogi, a great devotee, samadruk, equibalanced, nirvikalpakaha, absolute monist, ekantamatihi, fixed in monism or oneness of mind, unnidraha, surpassed nescience, gudaha, not exposed, mudha, stunted, iva, like, iyate, appears like. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. His, Vyasadeva's son, was a great devotee, an equibalanced monist, whose mind was always concentrated in monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being unexposed, he appeared like an ignorant person. Purport. Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul, and thus he remained always alert not to be trapped by the illusory energy. In the Bhagavad Gita, this alertness is very lucidly explained. The liberated soul and the conditioned soul have different engagements. The liberated soul is always engaged in the progressive path of spiritual attainment, which is something like a dream for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul cannot imagine the actual engagements of the liberated soul. While the conditioned soul thus dreams about spiritual engagements, the liberated soul is awake. Similarly, the engagement of a conditioned soul appears to be a dream for the liberated soul. A conditioned soul and a liberated soul may apparently be on the same platform, but factually they are differently engaged, and their attention is always alert, either in sense enjoyment or in self-realization. The conditioned soul is absorbed in matter, whereas the liberated soul is completely indifferent to matter. This indifference is explained as follows. Text 5. Drushtvanuyantam ऋषिम् आत्मजम् अपि अनग्नम् देव्यो ह्रिया परिदधुर्नत्सुतस्य चित्रम् तद्वीक्ष्य पृच्छति मुनौ जगतुस्तवास्ति स्त्रीपुं भिधाना तु सुतस्य विविक्तद्रेष्ठे. Synonyms: Drishtva, by seeing; Anuyantam, following; Rishim, the sage; Atmajam, his son; Api, in spite of; Anagnam, not naked; Devyaha, beautiful damsels; Riya, out of shyness; Paridhadu, covered the body; Na, not; Sutasya, of the son; Chitram, astonishing; Tat Vikshya, by seeing that; Pruchati, asking; Munau, unto the Muni, Vyasa; Jagaduhu replied, Tava, your; Asti, there are; Stri Pum, male and female; Bidha, differences; Na, not; Tu, but; Sutasya, of the son; Vivikta, purified; Trishte, of one who looks. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhi Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. While Sri Vyasadeva was following his son, beautiful young damsels who were bathing naked covered their bodies with cloth. Although Sri Vyasadeva himself was not naked, but they had not done so when his son had passed. The sage inquired about this, and the young ladies replied that his son was purified, and when looking at them made no distinction between male and female, but the sage made such distinctions. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 5.18, it is said that a learned sage looks equally on a learned and gentle Brahmana, a Chandala, dog-eater, a dog, or a cow due to his spiritual vision. Srila Sukadeva Goswami attained that stage. Thus, he did not see a male or female. He saw all living entities in different dress. The ladies who were bathing could understand the mind of a man simply by studying his demeanor. Just as by looking at a child, one can understand how innocent he is. Sukadeva Goswami was a young boy, 16 years old, and therefore all the parts of his body were developed. He was naked also, and so were the ladies. But because Sukadeva Goswami was transcendental to sex relations, he appeared very innocent. The ladies, by their special qualifications, could sense this at once, and therefore they were not very concerned about him. But when his father passed, the ladies quickly dressed. The ladies were exactly like his children or grandchildren, yet they reacted to the presence of Vyasadeva according to the social custom, because Srila Vyasadeva played the part of a householder. A householder has to distinguish between a male and female, otherwise he cannot be a householder. One should therefore attempt to know the distinction between spirit soul without any attachment for male and female. As long as such distinction is there, one should not try to become a sannyasi like Sukadeva Goswami. At least theoretically, one must be convinced that a living entity is neither male nor female. The outward dress is made of matter by material nature to attract the opposite sex and thus keep one entangled in material existence. A liberated soul is above this perverted distinction. He does not distinguish between one living being and another. For him, they are all one and the same spirit. The perfection of this spiritual vision is the liberated stage, and Srila Shukadeva Goswami attained that stage. Srila Vyasadeva was also in the transcendental stage, but because he was in the householder's life, he did not pretend to be a liberated soul as a matter of custom.